I think I can remember how it started. Faintly, but I can. When I was surfing the web looking for some creepy, interesting lore, when I found a really fascinating volume consisting of the being titled Slender Man. I loved the idea. I loved everything about it. I soon became obsessed. I'm an avid, I guess you could say, artist. I used to draw a lot. Every one of my drawings contained Slender Man. Even the doodles on my schoolwork depicted the tendril-covered suit-wearing man-thing. I began making my own interpretations of him. My own version. My Slender Man. He was about 8 feet tall. His arms stretched down to his knees. He had no face, just a shape of mass. Almost as if someone covered their head with a tight cloth or spandex. Anyways, it was like he was my own creation. Another version of myself. It was so cool. Or so I thought. My best friend was also into Slender Man. Because of me, of course. I just couldn't help but share my interests. I'm not at liberty to share his name, so we'll just call him Matt. We were also into filmmaking. Naturally, we thought Slender Man would be a superb topic. We spent the entire summer working on this film. We called it Suit. I played my beloved creation, as I owned a tuxedo. And I also had a tuxedo morph suit, perfect for the fast mass. We were ecstatic and relieved when we finally finished. A month of script developing and 2 months of filming paid off. It was great. Everyone we showed it to loved it. Unfortunately, this made me even more obsessed with my suit-bearing counterpart. Months later, I was reviewing our movie because I wanted to make a sequel, and I was finding the main highlights of the film, so I could continue them in the sequel. It was late, and I had to constantly rub the tired out of my eyes. I was looking at the part where I'm standing in a forest, looking up into the sky, about to jolt my head down to the camera. That's about when I noticed him. I couldn't believe my eyes. I peered at my monitor screen and wiped it off to make sure it wasn't just a trick of the light or something like that. But it wasn't. It was him. Slender Man. As the camera is pointed at me, you can faintly see him walk. Very fast, mind you, about 20 yards behind me. Faintly, but he's there. I was freaked out. That's about when I dropped the obsession and got rid of anything that reminded me of him. I forgot about him. I was living normally. For the time being, which was a little over 2 weeks. I started noticing things. Every picture I took, on my phone, camera, or any other person's camera, I saw him. In a crowd, behind a building, in an alleyway, anywhere. That wasn't the scary part. In each picture, respective to time, he'd be closer to me. For example, the first picture I noticed him in, he was about 50, 60 feet away. A month later, he'd be about 20. And then, I'd see him in person. He'd follow me, he'd show up where I was going before I got there, as if he knew what I was thinking, all the time. I'd have dreams about him. In one, I was in the same patch of woods as in the movie I made. I was dressed as him, and I was walking through the woods to get home. But I could hear him behind me. Footsteps, and then the darkness cast over everything as he approached. Then he got me, and I'd wake up. I forgot about it until the next night, when I remembered it and hoped I didn't have it again. I wrote it down in a dream journal so I would remember it. I was writing every detail, until sleep overcame me, and I had it again. But this time he talked to me. I couldn't make out what he said, though. And then I woke up. I was so happy it was a dream. But it wasn't. I turned over to write it in my journal. To my horror, the dream I had previously written down was circled and crossed out with 2 lines, like an X. Underneath it, it said the following. I am what you are. I am what you aren't. I am what you hate. I am what you love. I'm always near, I'm always below. I'm always here, I'm always above. But don't run away, for I will pursue. I'm the man in the suit, coming to get you. After I read this, I was petrified. I just stayed in my room. I didn't move, eat, sleep, or anything. And then he came. I told him I wasn't afraid because I knew him. I created what he was and I could defeat him. Turns out he was his own being now. He didn't need me. He wouldn't speak. He would only... Well, it's hard to explain. He would lash his arm at the wall and words would appear. One word, actually. Imposter. Again and again and again and again. Imposter, imposter. The next thing I remember is him grabbing my head and opening his mouth. It was more like a black hole. A void in his white mass of a face. And then... quiet. I was on the floor, but I wasn't me. I was him now. I finally realized what he meant. I wanted to be Slender Man. So he made sure that happened. I created him, and he took over. That was when my life ended, for me at least. But I don't mind this new life. I've gotten used to taking people. It's a sport almost. You see me in your mirrors, pictures, and then in front of you or behind you. So a word to the wise, don't turn around.